Hello everyone, it's Jen. Welcome back to another project for Heffy Doodle. Today I'm featuring the super cute stamp set called Wingman with these 4 little birds. There's some great sentiments in here like birds of a feather, I miss our chats, and swing by any time. The sentiment that I'm going to use today is shake your tail feathers. So we're going to be focusing on coloring today. So I'm going to share some tips on how to blend alcohol markers, and specifically I'm using Copic markers today, but you can use any type of alcohol marker that you have. And I'm going to just highlight some ways that you can blend those markers from different color families. So I'm going to be doing that on the wings of the birds. So to get started here, I'm coloring these like a red macaw, which is a parrot that has blue, yellow, and red wings, and then a red body. Their beaks are mostly black with a white tip, so I'm just using my C markers here for that. So the C7, C5, and for the white areas, I'm using C1 and the colorless blender. Now for the red, I started out here, forgot to add my marker caps to the screen here at the top left. I guess I was too excited to color up this little parrot, but as I was finishing off with that darkest color, the R39, I realized I didn't have them on screen, so there they are, always listed with the darkest marker to the top, down to the lightest marker on the bottom. So I'm using a 3-color blend, the R39, the R29 is the midtone, and then the R24 as my lightest color. And I'm going to do these parrots one at a time here just so you can see how I'm doing this blend. So I started out with the red. I'm only using one color for the yellow. I'm using the Y15. So I laid a bit of that yellow down, and now I'm using the tip to tip technique. So I brought back the lightest red marker, the R24, and I touched the yellow marker to the red marker to help blend that. For the blues, I'm using a 2-color blend. The darkest is the B24, and then the lightest is the B12. So I'm using that darker color on the tips of the wings, and then the lightest towards the yellow. Once I had all the colors down, I did add a little bit of the colorless blender over top of that. Now I didn't saturate it, but this is a great way to help blend those various colors from those color families that seem like they're really far apart and won't blend, but they will. So you just want to run the colorless blender over where you've kind of mixed or blended those colors very lightly and let it dry, and you'll see that that really helps smooth out that blend. So I'm going to show this to you again on this second parrot here. So I'm actually going to use 3 of the stamped images on the card today, but I'm just going to color up 2. I did color the third one the same way. And you can see here with the tail, I am adding a couple of blue feathers to the tail. When I was looking at a picture of the red macaw, they have a mix of blue in with the red. So here we go with that blending again, and you'll see this a bit more here with this parrot because this one has 2 wings. So I just laid down that darkest red marker, blended that out with the midtone and then the lightest, which is the R24. And so I thought it would be easiest to have all the markers that I'm using for the blending of the different color families on screen here for you. So using that yellow marker, the Y15, where the lightest red marker ends, and really just blending that. And you can see that I am getting quite a bit of that red on my yellow marker. I got quite a bit more than I wanted, so you can just dab that off on your paper. It's not going to hurt the marker at all. It just depends how much of that blend you want. So the yellow and the red will mix to do like an orangey color. So you just have to be careful with how much you're actually getting on your marker. So now I'm going to move into the blue, having the darkest at the tips like I mentioned, and then bringing in the lightest, the B12, towards the yellow. And once I lay down that lightest blue, I am going to flick that yellow back over the blue, and that'll give me my blend there, and then I'm going to do that again with the lightest blue marker, bringing that back over the yellow. And you can see it's a little bit of a green tone there. And here's where I'm bringing in that colorless blender, just lightly going over top of that, and I've got my smooth blend. So I hope those tips were helpful for you in terms of getting those blends, and that it inspired you to get out your markers and try some blending from different color families. We're going to move on to creating the background. I'm using the Wonderfully Woven Stencil. I wanted a really subtle background. So I have this on my Make Art station, and this is great because it's magnetic. It comes with those little magnets and it holds your stencil in place on your cardstock. So I'm using Distress Oxide. The lightest color is Antique Linen and the darker one is Tea Dye. I'm just kind of using both of these to get really close to the brown color that I used for the bird perches. And if you're wondering about the colors that I'm using today, I will have a color map at the end of this video, and you can also find it on the corresponding blog post on the Heffy Doodle blog. So make sure to check that out if you want to see all of the color combinations I used today. So here's our third little parrot that I'm bringing in. He is super cute. He looks like he's shaking his tail feathers for sure. So I'm going to have one of the parrots up on the swing. I'm not sure what the actual name of that would be, but I wanted it to look like they were having a little dance party in their cage. I did want to do like more of an outdoor leafy green kind of background, but I really loved the little swing here and this perch, so I didn't think that went quite well with an outdoor scene, although it is card making and you could do whatever you wanted. But I chose this stenciled background because I felt like the woven pattern kind of mimicked or gave the illusion of a cage in the background, and so these little birds are just super happy, shaking their tail feathers, having a little dance party to brighten their day and our day by having a little bit of fun together. So I'm just going to place these on my card base here where I think I want them. I'm just adhering these down with some liquid glue. I was thinking about perhaps placing the swing on a little bit of an angle to make it look like it was actually moving, but then decided I would just have it hanging straight up and down. But if you like the idea of creating movement, you could definitely have it look like it is swinging in the air as that little parrot is dancing, or kind of looks like that one is singing as well. In addition to the birds themselves, I also colored up a couple of the individual feathers that comes in the stamp set, and these are really great just to be fillers on your cards and add some added interest. I feel like this actually brings some movement to the card, which goes along perfectly with the sentiment of shake your tail feathers. So I am just going to play with where I want these feathers to actually be. I colored one blue like it was one of the tail feathers, and then a couple of them in that red, yellow, and blue color, the same as their wings. And you can see there that I have one of the feathers, the blue one, kind of facing tip up, and then the other one, the rainbow one that's similar to it. Actually, I'm going to change that around. So the colored one will be tip up, and then the blue one will be tip down. And again, that just creates an illusion of movement. So I thought I would go ahead and add my sentiment. I'm going to use my Versafine Clair Nocturne ink, which in my opinion is the best black ink there is for stamping sentiments. It is so crisp. I love it. I decided also to do this little speech bubble that has a heart, and I'm going to do that in black as well. I'm not sure if I'm in love with how the little speech bubble turned out, but I stamped it in black and then decided to color it with a red Copic marker. I believe I used the R29, maybe, the mid-tone. I think I like it better with the clear center of the heart, but you can decide what you like better if you do a similar card to the one I'm creating today. So I did have a little fiber on my stamp that I didn't realize until after. I think it might have been from my sweater. So I did need to fix that up. I'm just using my white gel pen as well as my Memento black marker there just to fix up where that ink smudged a little in the first word of the sentiment. To add some details, I'm going to use a glitter pen on their wings. Now this will also help to kind of give that blended look for those different color families. Added some glossy accents and thought I was done with this card, but felt like I needed another pop of color to frame in the scene. So I'm using the Heffy Doodle skinny rectangle frames here. I cut this out of some Cookie Monster cardstock, which I think has to be one of the best names for cardstock out there in the crafty world, and decided to add that to my card. So there's the completed card. I'm going to show you the color map, which again is available on the Heffy Doodle blog. So that's the card for today. I hope you found the blending tips helpful. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me. Have a fabulous day. Bye.